Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Saratoga Racecourse here on Friday. It is the 12th of July, 2024. Going to look at all the races on the program from Saratoga, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKit5 for more selections for racecourses around the world, and join me tomorrow for my Diana preview here from Saratoga. Also, you have some good racing from Colonial tomorrow, so check that out. The Grand Prix de Paris, the July Cup. Just in general, join me tomorrow because there's some great racing on both sides of the pond. But we have 10 races to look at here on day 2 of the Spa Festival. So let's get to it right now. The first race from Saratoga, it's maiden special weight purse $100,000. Race from maidens, fillies, mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. 6 horses are contesting 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs on the main track. My top selection here, I'm going to take the 2-horse Chanteuse as a top selection. Can't speak. I'm going to go 2-5-1-3 in the superfecta. 2-5-1-3 super. Top selection 2-horse Chanteuse. This 3-year-old filly by Into the Mischief. Top Pletcher trains. Flavian Pratt gets the mount. Horse's most recent appearance came the 6th of June here at Saratoga, 7 furlongs in the main special weight for $100K, and the horse finished 5th by 10 1/4 lengths that day, and he left out of the gate to get good position, but then he just kind of weakened. Audacious, who was part of an entry with this horse, really freaked that day and took off clear. Looks like he's going to be a real deal kind of horse. This horse just couldn't keep up with the stablemate. Refreshing here, not facing Audacious, back to 7. I think he's in a better spot to win. Since the last race, he's trading quite well. 5/8 miles on the main track here at the spot, and 101 2/5 of a second, 6th best workout of 9, and a 5 furlong workout on the Oklahoma, and 102 flat, 4th best workout of 7. Top Pletcher, decent numbers, second time outing with 21% here. Not facing Audacious. I think this horse can get a piece of it. I also think the 5-horse here, who is, if we get to the right page, the 5-horse Martingale for Chad Brown and Manny could win also. Most recently ran at Monmouth over the mile in the main special weight off the bench on the 21st of June, where he finished 3rd by 1 3/4 lengths that day, and it was just a little bit wide that day. I thought he wanted a 1-turn mile, but he got around the race course okay. His race before in January at Aqueduct was a disaster. 7 furlongs in the main special weight on the mud. He finished 5th by 54 1/4 lengths that day. Something must have went amiss that day because he just was piss poor. It just was not a very good performance. And then on the week after, took him high in December at Aqueduct, mile and 8th in main special weight. He finished 3rd by 3 1/4 lengths that day, and he was just wide and just wasn't staying the trip. I think 7 is something he wants to do. He's training quite nicely at Monmouth. He has a nice gate workout since the last race. Back to 1 turn. I'm going to give him a shot on the ticket. They must think highly of him. They nearly bought him for $600,000 a few years ago. But to recount my selection for the opener from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 2-horse here at Chanteuse. Give kudos to the 5-horse Martingale. 2-5-1-3 super. 2-5 in the multi-race. Pick 5 to begin it off. The second race from Saratoga, very good race here. It's a claiming race going for a $45,000 purse. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Never won 2 races here. Claim price $25,000. 7 horses are going 1,300 meters or 6.5 on the main track. I'm going to take the 4-horse Giant Fire as a top selection. 4-3-6-7 for me in the superfecta. 4-3-6-7 super. Top selection 4-horse Giants Fire. This 5-year-old gelding by Gunrunner. John Terranova the second trains, or third trains. Lane Lusby gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 14th of June at Aqueduct, 6.5 and a claim 49-2L, and the horse finished 4th by 4 3/4 lengths that day, and he really didn't get out of the gate so clearly, which cost him. He didn't get out of the gate there. He sat back early. He moved a little bit late, but he just couldn't get the good momentum late, dropping down for 25, which is not the from 40 to 25 at Saratoga, from 40 at say normal Belmont to 25 at Aqueduct at Saratoga. It's not the world's biggest drop down, considered say 40 at Saratoga back to Aqueduct to 25. That's a massive drop down, so horse should be 1-9. But back down to this class here today, with a little bit down class. I think he's going to be in a good spot to win. He ran okay in a Star Alliance race at Aqueduct over the 6th and the 19th of May. He finished 4th by 4 3/4 lengths that day, where he was a little bit wide. I thought he won a little bit more ground, but he again got down the race course well. And then 6.5 at Aqueduct in April and claiming 40,000. Finished 2nd by 2 3/4 lengths, a little bit wide, but again he got around the race course well. He was outrunning his odds, 2 back in the allowance race for 82,000 and going to 3 cores in February at Aqueduct, where he finished 4th by 6 lengths, and he gained a lot of ground basically on Rockaway Boulevard. That's how wide he was that day, but he got around the race course decently there. His turf races were just not up to par. I thought he was just not a turf horse, but when he runs on the dirt, he really shows some potential. His 2-year-old and 3-year-old form a few years ago wasn't bad at all. Unfortunately, after that, he just really became a horse that couldn't find the winner's circle. Since dropping down, he's shown some good potential. He's training well locally. I'm going to give him a shot here on the ticket. I think the 3-horse here, who is, again, this page could be turn over, 3-horse Pascal Moon for Luis Rivera Jr. and James Ferraro. I think this horse could win also. Most recently claimed 25 at Aqueduct over the 6.5 in May. He had a decent second place finish by 3 lengths. Again, a little bit wide, but he was really making the race interesting late. Not a bad race in defeat. I didn't think he ran well going 7th, though, at Aqueduct 2 back in the start allowance race where he finished 8th by 26.25 lengths that day. He was wide, and he just was not comfortable that day. You know, they were flying on the front end, which I don't think was to his liking there. And then a star allowance race at Aqueduct over the 6th in March. Another very speed favoring track. He just wasn't getting into it that day. He showed some speed in an allowance race for State Breds in March at Aqueduct, going 7.83. He finished 4th by 11.25 lengths. He just kind of yielded late, but he got around the race course well. You know, he started here at Saratoga a few seasons ago where he just wasn't up to par, but his race over the winter at Aqueduct weren't bad at all in tougher conditions. Down in class against these horses today. Could show some pace, which is decent with these 6.5 furlong races. I'll give him a shot here on the ticket to using the pick 4. And even the 6-horse Uncle Charlie's Gift for Nick Zito and Tyler Gaffleone was a winner 2 back at the Finger Lakes quite nicely, and came back last October to an allowance race, or placed in an allowance race after that. First time gelding since then, training well at Churchill Downs Training Center. It's 8-1. Let's give him an upsetter here in the pick 4 that begins with this race. But to recount my selection for the second from the spot, I'm going to take the 4-horse here, Giants Fire. Give kudos to the 3-horse Pascal Moon and the 6-horse Uncle Charlie's Gift. 4-3-6-7 Super, 4-3-6 in the multi-race. To the third race from the spots, Maine Special Weight purse $100,000 races for Maine's 3-year-olds and upwards here. We have a field of 12 horses, including part of an entry going to post. 8, 9, 10, 11 are MTO, so we'll have a field of actually 8 horses going to the inner turf course. 1,700 meter journey, or mile 16th on the inner. Rails are out 9 feet. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the 5-horse Tom Collins. 5-1-A-4-3 in the superfecta. 5-1-A-4-3 Super. Top selection 5-horse Tom Collins, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that a drink? I think I watched enough Bar Rescue in my life to know it's a drink, but what's in it? I have no idea. I don't drink very often at all. You know, very rarely actually. But this 3-year-old colt by Frosted here. Shug McGahee trains. Joel Rosario gets the mounts. The horse's most recent outing came in a Maine Special Weight for 90 at Aqueduct last fall, mile 16th there, and he finished 2nd by 3 lengths. The winner really took off clear on the front end. This horse, he sat back early on the inside. He swung a little wide late, but he was gaining that day. Coming to the 3-year-old campaign, where the horse should really improve a lot, could be Farley Page, which is very good on this turf course. Showed a good race here behind A-Gate Road last year. I'm going to give him a shot to win. He ran terrifically on the 2nd of September here at Saratoga, mile 16th on the inner in a Maine Special Weight, finishing 3rd by a half a length. He just kind of stalked all the way around the race course, a little bit wide late. He just couldn't catch A-Gate Road, who's a decent, graded stakes winner, was a next-star winner there. But, not a bad race there. He debuted over the Wilson Mile Saratoga here last summer in a Maine Special Weight on the dirt. Off the turf that day, he finished 6th by 23 lengths. He left out of the gate, but then he just completely yielded. He might be bred for dirt, but I don't think he liked it, especially going first time at mile there. He just wasn't comfortable. Since the last race, he's training quite nicely at Belmont on the training track. Back to turf here, back to Saratoga, getting Joel up. 5-1, I think he can win. I think the second likeliest winner is the 1A Storm Ready for Luis Saez and Tom Pletcher. Most recently, mid-June at Aqueduct, a mile in the Maine Special Weight on the inner. He finished 2nd by a length that day. And again, he just kind of stalked all the way around the race course, a little bit wide, but he showed potential that day. An 8-9 buyer could definitely win against these horses. Back here, very good poster, thoroughly paced. Going to use him. His race 2 back at Aqueduct, going a mile 16th in the Maine Special Weight in May. He finished 2nd by 3/4 length that day, and basically horrible beginning. If he would have broke better, he probably would have won. He probably would have been forwardly paced also, but he didn't get out of the gate so clearly, so he got shuffled out of it. He was stupidly wide late, but he was gaining that day. Showed potential that day, and then at Gulfstream in April, 7.5 in the Maine Special Weight. He finished 6th by 2 lengths that day, and he was just lackadaisical that day. He just couldn't get there. I think he needed the race for the experience. Trading well since the last race. They think highly of him. They bought him for $1 million a few years ago. Refreshing here at 6-5. I'll give him a shot here on the pick 4 ticket. But to recount my selection for the 3rd from Saratoga, going to take the 5-horse Tom Collins. Give kudos to the 1A Storm Ready. 5-1-A-4-3 Super. 5-1A in the multi-race. The 4th race from Saratoga now. If we can get the page to load. The 4th race here, it is An allowance race, purse $110,000, race for 3-year-olds and upwards, number 1 $20,000 of the main claim starter or staple allowance race, which number 1 2 races here. We have a field of 9 horses entered. 8 and 9 are MTOs. 7 will head to the Mellon 1100 meter journey, or 5.5 on the Mellon turf course. Rails are up at 12 feet. Going to take the 5-horse Cigarette Boat, 5-4-1-6 in the superfecta, 5-4-1-6 super. Top selection of 5-horse Cigarette Boat. This 4-year-old colt by Cantharos here. Mike Maker trains. Luis Saez gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came a month ago here at Saratoga, 5.5 an allowance race for $110,000, and he finished 4th by a length that day, and he just stalked all the way around the race course. He was just a little bit wide late, which probably cost him that day, but he improved off the previous race. Refreshing back, hopefully, to turf here today. Hopefully this race doesn't get rained off. He ran sneaky good races here last season on this course. I'm going to give him a shot to win here today. 2 back, he ran first off the bench on dirt, which is not his preferred surface at Churchill. 5.5 off turf on the slop and allowance race for $120,000 in May. He finished 8th by 16.5 lengths that day. He was wide, and he just wasn't comfortable that day. His preferred surface is turf. And then he ran an allowance race at Turfway at 6.5 on the Tapeta, 1st of December. Prior to that, his final start last season, he finished 5th by 9 lengths that day, and he just was flat. It took him a little bit of time to break the main that day for him, but he finally broke it on the 13th of October at Aqueduct. 6 furlongs in the main special weight, winning by 1.25 lengths that day. He really took off clear on the inside that day. And like I said earlier, his races here at the Spa weren't bad at all in defeat. Came back here at 15th of July, going 5.5 in the main special weight last summer, where he finished 4th by 3/4 length, where he just couldn't get there late. Came back to run another main special weight here in August, where he finished 3rd by 5 3/4 lengths, where he didn't get out of the gate, basically almost fell to his knees out of the gate, but he really gained a lot late, and then had a massive place at Kentucky Downs after that, and had a great race at Churchill with a quick turnaround after that. Coming here today, training well since the last race. I think he could find a return to the winner's circle. 6-1, I'm going to use him. And I think the 4-horse 26 Black for Horacio De Paz and Manny Franco could win also. Most recently here on the 8th of June in that 5.5 allowance race, he finished 2nd by a neck that day, where he was wide. He got the lead. He had the lead. He got caught late by Mansa Musa, but he ran his heart out off the bench. Prior to that, against State Breds and Option 45 at Aqueduct, going 3/4, he won by 1/2 a length that day and really took in clear. Might have yielded late, but he held on to the race, and then throughout the race before the New York Stallions last year at Saratoga, he finished 5th by 5 1/4 lengths. I just thought he's not a routing kind of horse. He wants to turf sprint. He hasn't won on this turf course, but again, another horse that's run decently. He's drawn well, forwardly paced. Training well, Belmont, 3-1. Let's use him on the ticket. But to recount my selection for the 4th from Saratoga, I'm going to take the 5-horse Cigarette Boat. Give kudos to the 4-horse 26 Black, 5-4-1-6 Super, 5-4 in the multi-race. The 5th race from Saratoga, it's a claiming event going for a $50,000 purse race for 4-year-olds and upwards here, going for a $20,000 claiming price. Overflow field, or full field of 12 horses, going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs on the main track. Going to take the 9-horse Safa's Day, 9-8-12-6 for me in the superfecta, 9-8-12-6 super, top selection 12-horse Safa's Day, 6-year-old Gellin by Carpe Diem. Tom Amos trains, Tyler Gaffleone gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came at Churchill, 6 furlongs at optional 100 claimer, 30th of May. He ran horribly. He finished 7th by 19.5 lengths that day, and he just stalked, and he just completely hit the wall. Very tough horses. Extra Nejo is a decent horse. Race Kane, 3rd place finisher, decent horse. That could have been a stakes race. He just wasn't keeping up. Horses claimed from, he was previously trained by Dave Jacobson. He got claimed out of the Keeneland race prior. After that, the horses really don't fire after that. He's a hard trainer to claim from. This horse is dropping down to 20 here today, has some forwardly pace. I think he's going to be in a more better, realistic spot than he was last time out. He ran okay, ran terrifically at Keeneland Optional 80 on the 21st of April, going 6. Went by a 1/2 a length from a tracking trip. He really took off clear. He grinded it to the wire. A very good run that day, 3.5 to 1 with an 87 buyer. And then probably the best race he ran, 5th of April at Aqueduct, 6 furlongs up, 6-2, winning by 1.25 lengths from a tracking trip. He was stupidly wide, but he really got the job done. 2nd place finisher was the next start winner out of that race, so keep that in mind. And then 3rd of March in the mud at Aqueduct, going 3/4. Finished 5th by 5 1/4 lengths that day, and again, he just kind of stalked all the way around the race course. He couldn't get there late, but he ran his heart out. His races in the Jacobson barn weren't bad at all. He ran here last summer as a part of an entry rate, a massive 3rd place finish, and at his final start 2024. Came back this winter running these good races. Down in class, incredible work out of Churchill earlier this week, half mile 47.3. I think he's rearing to go. I'm going to use him on the ticket. I think he'll be a very overbet horse here in this one, but watch out for him. I also think the 8-horse Cold as Hell for Luis Saez and D-Wayne Lucas could get a piece of it. 6th of June was his previous race at Churchill, going 3/4 in the Star Lounge race, where he finished 9th by 10.5 lengths that day, and he showed some pace early on, but then he just yielded. Prior to that, going 7.5 in the Lounge race, he finished 5th by 13.5 lengths. Again, he showed some pace. He just kind of yields late, but I just think he's been facing very tough horses, some very, very tough allowance horses. If you go to his most recent claiming efforts, they weren't bad at all. Claiming 6.250 at Churchill on the 11th of November, he finished 2nd by 2.25 lengths, where he just kind of yielded late, but he showed potential that day. He lost Jamie Torres at the start, the race prior to that, and claiming 6.2 at Keeneland, but the race before that and started launch races at Oaklawn in the winter of 23 weren't bad at all. Back down, way down the class ladder from his previous races, where he was just facing the best of allowance horses in Arkansas and in Kentucky. At 12-1, I think he could find a trip to win. And even the 12-horse here, who is, if we get the page over, the 12-horse Motorcade for Kendrick and Bruce Levine. The 2 recent races at Churchill weren't bad at all. They're fast races. Even the Southern California races aren't bad at all. First time in Levine barn, gonna have to overcome a wide posture, but he can definitely get a piece of it. Let's use him to end off this pick 5 that looks very nice if it hits. But to recap my selection for the 5th from Saratoga, gonna take the 9-horse here, Sapa's Day. Give kudos to the 8-horse Cold as Hell and the 12-horse Motorcade. 9-8-12-6 Super, 9-8-12 in the multi-race. The 6th race from Saratoga now. The first, one of the first 2-year-old races of the season, or the third 2-year-olds race of the season. I believe there's 2 on, including the Schuylerville on Thursday, so it's going to be a third, I guess. But they really start heating up Saturday when you want to watch out for those 2-year-old races. But the 6th race from Saratoga, it's main special weight purse $80,000. Race for mains 2-year-olds here, which have for horses that sold or RNA for $50,000 or less in their most recent sale. 13 horses are entered, 11, 12, 13 are AEs, 10 will head 1,100 meters or 5.5 on the main track. My top selection here, I'm going to go take the number 2 horse, Retico. I'm going to go 210.87 in the superfecta, 210.87 super. Top selection 2 horse, Retico. This 2-year-old colt by Outwork here. Tom Morley trains. Javier Castellano gets the mount. First time starter here. Tom Morley, not the best numbers first time outing, 9%, but his 2-year-olds have decent numbers here, but they do get a little overbet. But this horse looks like he has some pace here, which I think you want going 5.5 on the dirt here at Saratoga. His most recent drill last Friday at Belmont, the train track, half mile 47 flat from the gate, the third best workout 109, and half mile the week prior in 49.2, and 5/8 from the gate the week prior 1 minute and 3/5 of the second, third best workout 6. Coming here today, looks like he has some pace. Gets a good speed rider on the inside. I think this horse could find a trip to win. I'm going to use him. I think the 10 horse here, classic time for Mark Cassidy and Jose Cohen also. On debut, got rained off the turf on the dirt at Aqueduct, 5.5 in a main special weight in May, where he finished 2nd by a head that day, and he didn't get out of the gate so clearly. Had to really get quarter horse to get good position, and then he just yielded before the wire. He ran his heart out, but he just couldn't keep up. His most recent workouts since the last race have been really, quite quick. Half mile and 48.2 at Belmont, half mile 48 flat at Belmont, and 4 furlongs on the main track here in 50-1. 4th best workout 47. Come here, second outing. Mark Cassidy, good numbers with 2-year-olds early in the season. I'll give him a shot here at 5-2 in the late pick 6 that begins with this race, or late pick 5 that begins with the race. What am I saying, late pick 6? But the late pick 5 here. It's been a long day. But let's look at the 6. To recap my selection after the 6 from Saratoga, going to take the 2 horse Retico. Give kudos to the 10 horse classic time. 210.87 super, 210 in the multi race. Late pick 4, race 7. 7th race from Saratoga, the beginning of the late pick 4. It's a starter optional claimer per $70,000. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Never start for a claim price $50,000 or less, or which never won a race in the main claim starter, or claim price $35,000 here. We have a field of, a very good field of 16 horses entered. 13 is an AE. 14, 15, 16 are MTOs, 12 will head to the inner 1,700 meter journey, or mile 16th on the inner turf course. Going to take the 5 horse Palace View as a top selection. 5, 7, 4, 9 for me in the superfecta. 5, 7, 4, 9 super, top selection 5 horse Palace View, 4-year-old gelding by Dark Angel here. Mark Cassidy trains. Irad Jr. gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 23rd June at Woodbine, mile 16th off turf, an opposite 32 claimer, and he finished second by a length that day, and he sat back early, was a little bit wide, and was closing up well late. The winner, Makwa, who gamed it out to the wiring and held on, but this horse was just, really closing up well late. Ran a terrific race in defeat. Refreshing here. This turf course does play towards speed, but I think he has a good inside poster to be somewhat forwardly paced. Or but I don't think he's going to be as far back as he was last time out. But I think he could find a trip to win. Two back on the speed off the turf at Gulfstream, going about 16th and a claiming 35. He ran terrifically, winning by 1 3/4 length, closing him from nowhere. Stupidly wide. He really ran a terrific race that day. And then on the turf at Gulfstream in February, mile 16th and claiming 35, not too well. He finished third by 3.5 lengths that day. 3.5 lengths. Like I said, it's a long day when I'm starting saying that. But, he was stupidly wide. He just missed late, but he ran his heart out from that wide poster, a 10 of 10, which is not ideal in the Gulfstream Park turf course. If he had a better poster, I probably would have won, but not a bad race in defeat. And then early February, Gulfstream going 7.5 and opposite 25, finishing fifth by 3.5 lengths. Again, a little bit wide, but he got around the race course okay. He's only won twice, once at Gulfstream 2 back, and once as a 2-year-old in the UK in a Class 5 novice race at Chelmsford over the mile, winning by 2.5 lengths. He basically won on the front end quite easily. He's training well at Woodbine since the last race, half mile 48.2, which is quite good. Getting Irad up, which isn't half bad. Might get a little overbet with Irad up, but he could win. I'll use him on the ticket. I think the 7-horse Meritus for Tom Morley and Javier can win also. Most recently the claim 40 Aqueduct over the mile 16th. He won by 2 1/4 lengths that day, and basically on the front end, he really took off clear. He had a very soft third quarter, which really got him to the wire, but he ran his heart out that day. Prior to that, off the bench on the 9th of May at Aqueduct, a mile in the claiming 40, not too well. He finished second by neck that day, and again, he just was setting the pace. He kind of yielded late. Liar's Poker caught him that day, was a next star winner, but this horse might have needed the race there off the bench. And at the fairgrounds, about a mile on the Stall Wilson turf course and claiming 30, finishing third by 1 1/4 lengths that day, and basically in the front end, he had everything his own way, won 115 to 3/4, but he just couldn't win off those fractions. He just maybe didn't like the turf course there at the fairgrounds. It does play a little bit more towards speed with that long stretch, but or closure with the long stretch, but he ran his heart out there. If you look at his races in New York last year, they weren't bad at all. Since moving to the green stuff, that's where he's really improved a lot. So facing similar horses that have run similar buyers, training well at Belmont, I'm going to give him a shot here on the ticket at 4-1 to possibly upset. And even the 4-horse here, Classic Creation for John Terranova and Flavian could win also. His most recent races in the Jonathan Thomas barn, Keeneland, Santa Anita, were just against tough horses. The races at 2 back at Turfway going a mile on the Tapeta in January weren't bad at all, where he won by 2 1/4 lengths on the front end. His race in November at Aqueduct, he was facing horses that could have been that should have been a stakes race there, where he just wasn't keeping up. Even the mile 3/8 race, he was just facing tough horses. He's way down the class ladder. If he could run a race like he did in late 22 or 23 or early 23 at Tampa, he could win against these horses. He has some pace if he also wants to use it. Back in the Terranova barn, getting Flavian up. Watch out for this horse to upset in the late pick 4-6-1. But to recount my selection for the 7th from the spot, I'm going to take the 5-horse Palace View. Give kudos to the 7-horse Meritus and the 4-horse Classic Creation. 5-7-4-9 Super, 5-7-4 in the multi-race. Let's get over to race number 8, the co-featured on the program. The 8th race from Saratoga, it is the Wilton Stakes. It's going for a purse of $135,000. Race for fillies, 3-year-olds here, which never won a sweepstakes or state bred, blah, 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 blah. Field of 7 horses going 1,600 meters, or the Wilson Mile here at Saratoga. Everybody's favorite mile race in the country. You either like it or hate it. I don't mind these Wilson Mile races. I'm going to go with the 1-horse Miss Justify. I'm going to go 1-6-3-7 in the superfecta. 1-6-3-7 super. Top selection of 1-horse Miss Justify. 3-year-old followed by Justify here. Top Pletcher trains. Flavian Pratt gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came at an optional 100 at Churchill, mile on the 1st of June. First start in about 2.5 months. He won by 2 1/4 lengths, and on the front end, he really took off clear. Jumped up 20 buyer points from the previous race. He was loaded. Coming back against stakes quality horses, back in the Pletcher barn. First time in the Pletcher barn for stakes quality horses. Over the Wilson Mile that tends to be more towards speed. forwardly paced orientated horses, which his horse is, I think he could really run a good race to get the job done. Ran 2 back and off 75 at Gulfstream, 7 furlongs 15th of March, first off the bench, first time in the new barn. He finished 4th by 3 1/4 lengths that day, and he just was flat that day. He couldn't catch the winner who just had the jump on him, but might need the race there. And then the smart halo at Laurel over the 6th of November. He finished 3rd by 2 3/4 lengths that day, and again, he was just wide, and I thought he wanted more ground, but he got around the race course okay. And then debut going 5.5 at Laurel in main special in October, winning by 3 1/4 lengths that day. He broke really good and really took off clear. A very, very good race. Training well since the last race. I think the Wilson Mile is perfect for this horse. Watch out for here today. I think the 6-horse Bell's Beach for Chad and Irad can win also. Ran on that 1st of June card at Churchill also, which might be the card of the year. There are a few cards of the year that I always save on my computer, the replays. And for some reason, I have that. The 1st of June card at Churchill is saved on my computer. Gulfstream, Fountain of Youth Day is always saved on my computer. And Cigar Mile Day is always saved on my computer too, because those are the replays I keep going back to the most. And instead of going to find them, I just save them onto one of my hard drives here. But he ran that 1st of June race at Churchill, going a mile in the main special weight, winning by 5 1/4 lengths that day. He closed up from nowhere into a bit of a slow pace that day, or late in the race, but he got the job done going away. A good performance. Back first time winners, first time stakes quality horses. I don't think it's a half bad thing. I think this horse could really improve off that race, even with the victor. On debut, ran 7 at Keelan on main special weight. He finished 4th by 5 lengths that day. And again, he just sat back early, a little lackadaisical, moved a little bit late. Probably need the race for the experience, but got around the race course well. Coming here, back to a mile, first time stakes quality horses. She could definitely get a piece of it. I'll definitely use her in the pick 4 here today. But to recount my selection now for the 8th from Saratoga, it is the Wilton Stakes. Going to take the 1-horse Miss Justified. Give kudos to the 6-horse Bell's Beach. 1637 Super. 1-6 in the multi-race to the 9th race from Saratoga. It's featured on the program. It is the Coronation Cup. It's going for a purse of $150,000. Race for 3-year-old fillies here. We have a field of 13 horses entered. Baker's dozen entered, but only 11, 12, 13 are MTO, so only 10 could go to the Mellon, the distance of ground of 1,100 meters or 5.5 furlongs on the Mellon turf course. Going to go to the outside gate to the 10-horse Star of Mystery as a top selection. 10-4-1-6 in the superfecta. 10-4-1-6 super. Top selection 10-horse Star of Mystery. This 3-year-old filly by Kodiak here. Charlie Outby trains one for Godolphin. Flavian Pratt gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 8th of June at Saratoga, 5.5 on the Mellon here in the Grade 1 Jaipur, facing the boys that day. They decided to bypass the Intercontinental, the race the day before, and run against the boys in the Jaipur, where she ran terrifically. She finished 3rd by 3 3/4 lengths. She stalked all the way around the race course. She was a little bit wide, but she got around decently behind Coburn, who ran the world record 5.5 and 59.4, which is of course a track record and a world record, but not a bad race first start stateside. Training well since the last race, back facing the fillies. I think she could really get a trip to win. She ran terrifically in the Alquad Sprint at Maidan, 6 furlongs the 30th of March. She finished 2nd by 3/4 length. Again, she didn't get out of the gate so clearly, but she sat back early. She closed up well late. California Spangle had the jump on her, but not a bad race in defeat there. And then prior to that, in the Group 3 Natal Sheba Turf Sprint at Maidan over the 5, finishing 2nd by 2 1/4 lengths. She was with him early on. Again, just had the winner had the jump on her, but not a bad race. She won before that, at Maidan in the Blue Point Sprint quite easily, and she missed a break on the 12th of January. Maidan and still won quite easily. She has a lot of forwardly paced. She's proven she can get around a bend quite easily. Might have to overcome a wide post draw, or she's going to have to overcome a wide post draw, but I think she has serious ability to win here. 9-5, I know it's a short price, but I'm going to use her. I think her second likeliest winner here is the 4-horse Pipsy for William Walden and Frankie Dettori. Most recently, Natempen over the mile here at Churchill on the 29th of June. She finished 8th by 8 lengths that day, and she completely hit the wall that day. First time routing. She doesn't want to do that. She wants to go sprinting. Back to 5.5, forwardly paced, or not even forwardly paced. I think she'll find a good pace to close up into. I think she could get a trip to win. She completely missed a break in the Soaring Softly at Aqueduct over the 6th of May, but she still won in her North America debut, winning by a half length, closing up from nowhere. Stupidly wide, but it's still a very good race. Her races in Ireland weren't bad at all, where she showed some pace. She's a versatile type. She could set the pace or come from behind. She's training well, getting Frankie up. First time wintering or summering at Saratoga. I'll give this horse a shot on the ticket. And the 1-horse Tupi for Grand Motion Jorge Ruiz. His win at the from the Y poster in the Stormy Blues at Laurel wasn't bad at all. Winning by 2 1/4 lengths driving home. The place before that, the Mamselle at Churchill, again wasn't bad at all. The turf races, she's got on the radar in these turf sprints and really run good in them. Has a very good poster from the rail. Training well, Far Hills. I'll give her a shot on the ticket. It's a very good feature here. You're thinking have a heavy favorite winner, or you're gonna have a bit of a upsetter horse here, which I think could be Pipsy or Tupi. So let's use all three of them here. But to recap my selection for the 9th now from Saratoga, it's feature Coronation Cup. Gonna take the 10-horse Star of Mystery. Give kudos to the 4-horse Pipsy and the 1-horse Tupi. 10-4-1-6 Super. 10-4-1 in the multi-race. And we're gonna do a $1 exacta box here. 10-4-1. So that's my exacta of the day. 10-4-1 exacta, or 1-4-10 exacta box here. But it's like I said, very good feature here. But let's get to nightcap here on day 2 of the Saratoga meeting. The 10th race from Saratoga. It's a maiden claiming event going for a $55,000 purse. Race remains 3-year-olds and upwards, going for a claim price of $40,000. We have a field of, 14 horses entered. 13, 14 are MTOs. 12 will go 1,700 meters or mile 16 on the main track, and hopefully these turf races stay on the turf, because they're getting a lot of rain Wednesday into Thursday. If these races don't stay on the turf, you're going to hear all hell with all these races coming out the Wilson chute. But my top selection here, I'm going to go with the 8-horse Adventurous Spirit, 8-12-7-10 in the superfecta. 8-12-7-10 super, top selection, 8-horse Adventurous Spirit. This 3-year-old filled by Go Zapper. Top Pletcher trains. Ira Ortiz Jr. gets the mount. Most recent outing came at Monmouth, the mile 16th in the main special on the 2nd of June. Finishing second by 2 1/4 lengths. Joe Bravo should have let the horse go. He had a bit of a rank hold on him, and he just couldn't keep going late. Hopefully Irad gets his horse in good position. Forwardly paced turf course, which his course is, has some forwardly pace on this horse. I think this horse could find the winner's circle off of the run last time out. Even the run 2 back should find the winner's circle off of that race at Goldstream, mile 16th in the main special weight, finishing third by 3/4 of length that day. She just kind of stalked all the way around the race course, maybe a little bit wide late, maybe off the bench in either race, but still show potential there. Throughout the race before that, Kentucky Downs, a mile in the main special weight, finished 5th by 4 1/4 lengths. She was with him early on, but then she just couldn't get around the race course well. I think the quirkiness got to her that day. But on debut at Monmouth, going a mile in the main special weight, she had to steady quite a few times in the lane, which cost her. They actually disqualified the second place finisher and placed her up. If she had a better trip, she would have won, but she got around the race course well. She's definitely been improving off the buyer side, getting Irad up back here in New York, facing the big boys. She could win. The 12-horse Dangerous Driver for Jose Jimenez and Javier Castellano, I think, could win also. Ran about a month ago here in the main 40 over the mile 16th beyond Drunk on Saki, who ran, I believe, back after that in the Perfect Sting or something like that, or whatever the mile race for 3-year-olds that Dieter Ministik ran into a few weeks ago. I can't think of it now, but he didn't run well. Drunk on Saki walked on the front end. This horse had a wide trip, moved a little bit late, but it wasn't anything spectacular. Prior to that, Aqueduct in main 40 on the dirt off the turf there, he finished third by 5.5 lengths, and he just kind of yielded late on a surface he probably didn't like. And then in main special weight at Aqueduct on the turf, very wide poster. He finished 11 by 17.5 lengths. He was just wide, not keeping up. His races, if you look at some of those main special weights, he was facing very tough horses in those races. He's way down the class ladder here today. When he's dropped down in class, those are the races he's really showed up a lot with. He's going to have to overcome a wide poster here today, but I think he has some pace to win here. 15-1, I'll use him. And even the 7-horse here, over an Ollie for Frankie and Al Stahl. The last race against those tough horses at Churchill, he just wasn't keeping up. Since that race, he is a first-time gelding. If you look at some of the races at Woodbine last summer, those races could win against these horses. Training well since the geld. Getting Frankie up at 6-1. Give him a shot in the nightcap here. In this very nice late pick 4. But to recount my selection for the 10th from Saratoga, going to go take the 8-horse here, Adventurous Spirit. Give kudos to the 12-horse Dangerous Driver and the 7-horse Over and Ollie. Where we 8-12-7-10 Super, 8-12-7 in the multi-race. With that being said, good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKit5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and join me tomorrow for my Diana preview here from Saratoga. Good luck, everybody.